The Milwaukee Brewers are going to the postseason for the 7th time in the last 8 years. We know there's a heck of a lot more to accomplish than just getting into the tournament. We'll get to that next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to have you along. Chuck Freimund here, Locked On Brewers host, proud host of Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. At FanDuel, check out this bonus. At FanDuel, new customers, you bet $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. All right, coming up on the show, playoff bound. The Brewers are going to the postseason once again. We should never take that for granted, but we should expect more this year. Quintana is the latest injury for the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll talk about that injury. The Angels coming into town next after the Brewers had a thrilling weekend series, took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals. All right, Saturday night, after just a walk-off win, another one, the 11th one for the Milwaukee Brewers this year, the Brewers are going to the postseason once again, and it's just been a phenomenal run. Now, I've been following the Milwaukee Brewers all my life, okay? From the 70s on up. I've been covering this team since 1981 when I was 14 years old. Someday I'll tell you all that story. Some of you guys who heard me on the radio, you know that story. So I've seen a lot of bad baseball, and I did not ever think that this was going to happen in our time where we see the Brewers on a consistent basis be one of the best teams in baseball. Yeah, they haven't won a postseason series since 2018, but they've been consistent winners. Yeah, I've given Craig Counsell some grief here on the show, but you know what? He was winning games when he was here. He was getting this team into the postseason. I think Murphy is an upgrade, and he has taken this team to the postseason. Now, what the Brewers can't do is get by that first round of the playoffs. But this year, I do think something is special. I do think it. The broadcasters, you've heard them talk about it on TV. And yeah, there was just something going on with these guys that you can't quite put your finger on it. You want to say that the spirit of Bob Uecker lives, right? You want to say that? Maybe it's true. But, man, these guys just find a way. Saturday night, how did they win that game Saturday night? Down 6-1. Well, you know how they do it? Because they've done it all season. Remember a few weeks ago on a Saturday night against the Mets? Or on a Sunday afternoon against the Mets, they were down. Saturday night, they were down a few runs against the Mets. On that same weekend, and they rallied to win. That's what these guys do. They find ways to win. Down 3 runs in the 9th inning. It's almost laughable, right? Because they just find this magic out of nowhere. I text my guy, J.D. Haffron from Locked On Cardinals when they got down 6-1, okay? And I said, J.D., Brewers are going to find the way to win this game late. That's just how they do it. And I think he was thinking I had my blue and yellow sunglasses on. I was thinking through the Brewers lens. And you know me, Brewers fans, I'm going to tell you when this team stinks, and I'm going to tell you when they're great. But I just had this feeling they were going to come back because I've seen it happen before with these guys. On the live line, they were plus like 3,300 at one point. That's where they were. But they came back and got it done. A consistent winner they put together. Yeah, most of my lifetime, they have not, from 78 through 83, they were playoff contenders. They got in 1981 and 1982. Then from 82 to 2008, 26 years without getting in the postseason. When they broke through in 2008, okay, you got something here. 2009, 2010, missed the playoffs. And 2011, they got in under Ron Renicky, but they could never build on what they did in 2011. It wasn't until, 2014, they teased us a little bit. September, they were in the pennant race there. Didn't get into the postseason. Got in 2017, they teased us. Went down to the end there and did not get into the postseason tournament. 2018, went to Game 7 of the postseason of the NL Central, the NLCS against the Dodgers on a Saturday night. 2019, put on a heck of a run in September to get to the wild card. Didn't look like they were going to get to the playoffs. And then they lost that 1-game wild card after blowing a lead in Washington. We're not going to count 2020. 2021 had another great year. Got Adames, and they went on a terrific run with Adames. Got to the postseason, got beat by Atlanta in the first round. Missed the playoffs in 2022. Traded Josh Hader. And remember, they fell apart in 2022. 2023, well, terrific year. Councils last year here. Lost at home to Arizona in the postseason. 24, Murphy, his first year. Things going great. Oh, wow. They're doing some of the same things we see them doing this year. And then Devin Williams gives up that blast to Alonso in the top half of the ninth inning, and the Brewers lose that short series to the Mets. But you look at this team, yeah, and after the first couple of games of the season, I didn't think this team, man, not only did I think they were not going to compete for a division title, I was doubting whether or not they would even compete for a playoff spot. They looked so bad in those first 4 games. Opening day and those first 3 games in New York, just wretched. Remember at one point, early April, they didn't know who a 5th starter was going to be. They were starting Carlos Rodriguez on opening day. Who is he even with right now? Baltimore? And I was up there saying, not Carlos Rodriguez. I can't even think of his name. They started him on opening day. And I was like, why is this guy starting at opening day? And he made it like another start or two. And he got crushed every game. And I was like, why is this guy pitching? Well, they eventually acquired Priester. At the time, I thought they overspent for him. But obviously, in retrospect, he has just been terrific. They don't lose when he's on the hill ever. They don't lose. They 17, 18 game winning streak with him on the hill. But this team finally started coming together Memorial Day weekend. And then you got into the summer and they just started getting on a roll. And they swept the Dodgers in a 3-game set right before the All-Star break in Milwaukee, I want to say. And I thought, okay, interesting. They swept the Dodgers in a 3-game set. And then they came back after the All-Star break and they swept the Dodgers 3 straight in LA. Now, the Dodgers kind of sleptwalked through most of the summer, right? They did. I mean, they didn't play very good ball against a lot of teams out there. They got swept by Pittsburgh, but still they went 6-0 against the Dodgers. And the Brewers went on to win 11 in a row. Got beat in Seattle on a Tuesday afternoon or a Tuesday night game, and then came back on Wednesday and won. And then a short time later, on a Friday night in Washington after the All-Star break. Let's see, was it after? Yeah, it was several weeks after the All-Star break. On a Friday night against Washington after the Cubs series. After the Cubs series here, they lost a game against the Cubs. They had a day off on a Thursday and came back on a Friday night in Washington and won game 1 of a 14-game winning streak. And they just kept winning games, finding ways to win. That's where the Woodpecker nickname came out, because they would just look dead in the water and they'd come back and win. They'd come back and get the job done. And they almost won 15 in a row. They took a lead on a Contreras home run on a Sunday afternoon in Cincinnati and lost, but the night before, Monasterio hit the game-winning home run. They were finding magical ways to win, and Brewer fever was at an all-time high for the state, at least for the regular season. I have never seen such excitement for Brewers baseball as that 14-game winning streak. And then the Brewers began to level off, right? They had gone 11-14, I believe, going into the weekend since that 14-game winning streak. They won Friday and Saturday, came back and lost on Sunday. But I think a lot of us thought that the shoe was going to drop every time since that 14-game skid. Brewers would lose a couple of games. Remember that series in Chicago against the Cubs? Oh, the roof is falling. Nope, the Brewers would come back and always right the shift. They lost these 3 games against the Rangers earlier in the week. What happened? The Brewers took the first 2 against St. Louis, including that incredible win on Saturday night, lost on Sunday. And I don't want to hear, well, the Brewers should be sweeping these teams. They should swept all 3 of these games from St. Louis. And some of you guys think, well, I set my standards low when I say, hey, as long as you take 2 or 3. long as you take 2 or 3. And that's the way I look at it, except for the really, really bad teams. I think you got to sweep. Like the Pirates. But like the St. Louis team, I wanted them to take 2 or 3. I'll say that the next weekend, too, against St. Louis, 2 or 3. Now, as great as the Brewers have played this year, that number 1 seed isn't wrapped up just yet. They had a nice 5.5, 6 game lead on it, but Philadelphia's coming on strong. Now, Philadelphia got beat on Sunday by Kansas City. Let me double check that because the Kansas City had a big lead. I assume that Kansas City hung on and won that game on Sunday. Yeah, they did. But the Phillies jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and then the Royals came back. We're up like 6-2, and ended up routing the Phillies. So, but still, the Phillies are right there, 2 games out. The Brewers still have to clinch that top seed. They need a top 2 seed, and they need to win that number 1 seed. This team is good enough to get that number 1 seed, but they've been so spectacular all summer long. And even Saturday night, Murphy at his press conference said, I heard some booing in the stands when we were down in this game. Guys, I get it. Fans deserve the boo and express their displeasure, but this team, they don't deserve to be booed at all. I don't care, unless you're giving a real lackluster effort. And yeah, there were some things that weren't going their way, but this team, the one thing I can say about these guys is they play with high effort. I can't always say that about the Dodgers. Can't certainly always say that about the Cubs. The Mets, no way. All right. The Phillies, the same thing. I've seen them sleepwalk through games. Can you really ever say, honest in your mind, that you've seen the Brewers this summer sleepwalk through a game? No. They're in there to the final out. And even today, down 3-2, Jansen hits the home run in the 5th inning to bring him within 3-2. And we're thinking, okay, it just couldn't, not without effort, walk with 2 outs on Sunday, and then Frelick goes down swinging. I mean, how many thought that Frelick was going to gap one there, get on second base or third base, and then eventually that winning run was going to score? I certainly did, because that's the way the Brewers have been doing it this year, but it's not going to happen every time. I don't have to tell you that. I know that, but I just think like sometimes we expect it. But I'm telling you guys, this team, I feel like there's just something special with these guys. When they lose, I don't get down. They lost that 3 straight to the Cubs. I would tell you, man, it's time to pack it in if I thought that was the case, but it's not. This team, now they owe it to us, like they owed it to us last year. They got our hopes up really high for this year's team. They got our hopes up, our excitement level is high, and they have to go far in the postseason. I'm telling you right now, they got to win a playoff series. We'll get to that. I'll tell you that. We're going to get to the Quintana series, the Quintana injury as well. Angels also coming up. I got to take a quick break. We're coming right back here on Locked On Brewers. FanDuel is the number 1 sports book out there. NFL season is full swing. If you love their live betting, like betting on the Eagles against the Chiefs in that 3:15 game today, 3:25 game, your boy was right there. Right now, new customers, you had $5 in different bet wins. You get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Use it at live bets, whatever you want. Baseball, college football. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And right now, that $5 bet, it's going to translate into the most that they're giving away for bonus bets, $300. And you can use that anywhere you want. So whether you're going to college football on a Saturday, a Thursday night, Friday night, Major League Baseball, maybe you like tennis, whatever, now's the time to get into FanDuel. Again, download the FanDuel app, visit FanDuel.com, get started, FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet, $300 into your account when you win that $5 bet from FanDuel. All right, another great sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks. Pick more or less. It's the simplest and fastest way to get in on all the action. Pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. Let's say you like Lamar Jackson over and under on certain amount of passing yards, or Travis Kelce over and under on receiving yards. Maybe you like Christian Yelich over on, let's say, a half a hit or so, whatever it is, mix and match. But download the PrizePicks app today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and $50 in lineups into your account after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. And again, you want to get in all the action. Simplest and the fastest way to get in all the action. Pick more or less on player projections. Maybe you like Terang over a half a run or whatever, or a half a stolen base. It's all there, all on PrizePicks. And check it out right now. Go to use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB after you download the PrizePicks app, and you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers. This is part of the show where I tell you, thanks for tuning in. We got more to come. But thanks for making us your first listen to every day here on Locked On Brewers. If you're already watching us on YouTube, go to our growing podcast platform. We're on all those podcast platforms out there. Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet because you, great Brewer fans out there. And if you're already downloading us on the audio platforms, go to our growing YouTube page, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell that alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. And of course, anytime you guys got any questions, you know I get back to you. Hit me up on Twitter, Chuck Freimund, Freimund. Hit me up on Facebook as well, Chuck Freimund, Freimund. There's a reason why this team has got the best record in baseball. They didn't luck into any wins. Yeah, Lady Luck has been on their side a few times, right? It has been. But this team has deserved everything that they have earned. Everything. And yeah, the run of making the playoffs 7 of the last 8 years. All right. Now, when I was a kid, watching the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, the Dodgers, teams like that, that was a regular thing. Kansas City Royals at one time. Yes, the Royals as a kid were always in the postseason, but the Milwaukee Brewers never were. And if you would tell me then, hey, someday when you're older, the Brewers are going to be making the playoffs on a consistent basis, I never would have guessed they'd ever have the best record in baseball. But here it is, and I'm telling you, we got to enjoy this. We got to enjoy this. And I know the postseason, we got 2 weeks left in this regular season. They got to stave off Philly. The next hurdle, after they clinch the playoff spot on Saturday night, clinch the NL Central. The Cubs are 5.5 back. Cubs won, rallied to win over Tampa on Sunday. Got to close out the Cubs. 12 games left, 5.5 game lead. There's no reason whatsoever the Cubs should ever catch you. Dodgers 6.5 out. No reason the Dodgers should ever get one of those top 2 seeds on you. Dodgers did win the final 2 games against San Francisco, showed a little life here in the last couple of nights. But the Phillies, that's the team. They are playing some great baseball. And they're trying to chase down Milwaukee. They're coming on strong. I'm scoreboard watching these days, guys. I don't really see what the Cubs are doing as much as I am the Phillies. I really want to get that second seed. I'm telling you guys, Saturday night, when I saw that Pat Murphy's speech, first of all, Pat Murphy's locker room speeches are just phenomenal after his team's clinches and all that, dating back to last year. That guy has got a master's degree in doing stuff like this. And then he reads Bob Uecker's, the letter. Man, I was watching it, and I'm getting in my eyes right now. I'm watching it last night for the first time on my couch, and my water is streaming down my eyes. I'm like, my goodness. The message from Bob Uecker that he said, I don't even want to talk about it. It was so emotional. And then again, I put it on. It was on the Brewers, and I retweeted it out. If you want to follow that, I'm sure you've seen it. And it's just, the message from Bob Uecker talking to the big guy and stuff like that. And he's on the headset every night watching. I was like, Jesus. I mean, that's powerful stuff right there, man. It is. If you're a Brewers fan, man, how can you not cheer for these guys if you're not, right? How can you not cheer for these guys if you're not? How can you not be all in? just hearing that message, if you play in that team, as I tweeted out, how can you not run through a brick wall after seeing that and hearing that? The letter from Bob Uecker. My goodness. Wow. Didn't expect that. Now, the question is, with each hurdle along the way, clinching an NL Central title, maybe winning well, let's not say maybe, winning a postseason series, winning the NLCS, winning a World Series. Is there going to be a letter from Bob after each one of those in the locker room? I mean, are there more letters to come? That's what I want to know. Wow. I'm telling you, that was powerful. Powerful. At least that's how I took it on Saturday. I don't know about you guys, but man, geez, we're more than 24 hours removed from that, and I feel like I'm gonna lose it here on the air again. And just, man, sports sometimes just brings out emotion. And yeah, it does. It really does. All right. I want to turn the page with Ken Rosenthal real quickly here, and how he could have really put himself over on this. I think we already think of Ken Rosenthal as a guy who likes the Boston Red Sox, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the big market teams. And, we didn't like his questioning in the All-Star game with the Miz. Okay. And then Saturday, the bucket dump was coming on Contreras as Rosenthal was going to interview Contreras, and he backed away, and he accidentally bumped into a Brewer team photographer, Scott, great guy, bumped into him and knocked him over, and Scott got all dirty into the mud and all that. And Rosenthal kind of looked at him when he obviously knew he backed into him, and instead of helping Scott up, he went over and interviewed Contreras, and he kind of looked back and he was almost offended that Scott fell down after he bumped into it. He's almost like blaming Scott. I didn't like it. It was just a bad look, and none of us liked it. What he should have done, first of all, decency, you pick the man up, right? We all would have picked him up, all right? And not only that, pick him up, dust him off. You put yourself over, you put him over, and everybody's looking over all over the internet, on Twitter, on Facebook, everywhere, MLB Network, how you knocked the cameraman down. You took time out of your interview to go help him off and brush him off. Brush the mud off of him. That's how you handle that. Put the cameraman over, you put yourself over, and everybody loves you. But instead, it was a terrible look by Ken Rosenthal. And I don't know if I checked the Twitter as early as, or as late as late this afternoon. I didn't see him comment on that, but and I'd be curious if he had a redo, if he did that, if he would do what I just said. I know that's what I would do. I knock somebody over like that. First of all, I'm going to help the guy up. All right. Because it's my bad. Anyway, even if it was both of our faults, I'd help the guy up. I don't care if I had to get the Contreras interview. Pick the man up and then go about your business. Dust him off. You put yourself over, you put him over, and it's all good. Just thought it was didn't look good. Ken came across a little superiority complex, I'm too good to pick up this cameraman. I didn't like it at all. Didn't like it at all. I did not like that look at all. Bothered me. So I saw that, and then, of course, later in the night, I saw the Murphy, Bob Uecker letter, and I forgot all about Ken Rosenthal, but I was angry at the Rosenthal thing. It was. My buddy Scott there got knocked down. I'm like, Jesus. All right, we'll come right back. We'll talk about the Angels. The Angels had a tough weekend, but we'll talk about that. It's, they're still a Major League Baseball team coming in. We'll get to that next year on Locked On Brewers. Nutrafol is a new sponsor here of Locked On Brewers. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. I'm telling you, there's a lot of products out there. You should give Nutrafol a closer look. It's hard to know which ones are actually working, but Nutrafol, give it a closer look. Number one dermatologist recommended hair growth product out there. Supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. It's not hype. Supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. See thicker, stronger hair, less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com, enter the promo code Locked On MLB, Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. And again, there's over 1.5 million people who've trusted in this brand, and it has worked. Give it 3 to 6 months, and you'll see thicker, stronger hair and less shedding with Nutrafol. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers. All right, a couple of final thoughts here. The Brewer rotation hasn't been officially announced, but it looks like it's going to be Peralta, Woodruff, and Priester. Brewers have an off day Monday today, and then they start a series with the Angels this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Only time they're seeing the Angels this year. Angels make the road trip here. And, of course, out of division teams, you play them once a year. And this year, the Brewers host the Angels. I like that idea of playing everybody in baseball. Angels right now 69-81. Just got swept in a 4-game series by Seattle. 3 of those games, they were competitive. Got crushed 11-2 by the Mariners, who are on a roll themselves. But the Angels led in a couple of those games. Not going to be easy ever. Yes, taking 2 or 3. Sweeping the series would be great. Taking 2 or 3 would be ideal. But Seattle just swept them. But the Angels are going to put up a fight. I don't think the Angels will come in here and lay down. It won't be like Milwaukee taking on Pittsburgh, where they just crushed them basically in all 6 of those last matchups, right? Went 6-0 with them here in the second part of the season. Now, I could be wrong. Angels could come in here, lay down, be deflated after getting swept in Seattle, and the Brewers just crush them. I hope that's the case. By the way, great fan attendance once again this weekend. I know the Packers didn't play on a Sunday, but I feel like even when the Packers do play Sundays at the ballpark, they still fill it up, 42,000 plus. And that's a tribute to you guys out there. You know what? You don't have any World Series championships to show for it, but you're still going out and supporting this team. You are buying in and you are supporting this team. And that's why I always say, and especially this year, this team does owe it to you guys. This team does owe it to you guys for a deep postseason run. We'll talk more about that as we go along. Got to clinch the NL Central first. And to me, most importantly, the number 1 seed in Major League Baseball. It's going to do it for me, Chuck Freimund. Thanks for tuning in here on a Monday. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen to on Locked On Brewers.